Okay, here we go. Just removing the inside trim. You can see me cutting the caulking or paintwork and then just prying off the trim. Nothing too fancy there. Taking my sawzall to the outside of the outside trim work. Again, cutting the caulking. Pretty straightforward. Just be careful. You can see here I'm actually working near an exterior light and the doorbell, so be extremely cautious with respect to the wiring around there. Don't ask me why I'm adding this, because through experience, be careful with the wiring. So just prying the brick molding off, crowbar and a hammer, pretty straightforward, nothing fancy there. Header brick molding came off pretty straightforward, and removing the side molding there. So I'm back inside with the sawzall this time. Be careful with your doorbell wiring and any alarm system that you might have. This door frame did have an alarm, which is no longer in use, so it was just cut and removed, deleted. My son helping me there, my wife on the outside holding the frame. Both of them are holding it as I punch the pins on the door just to make the whole assembly a wee bit lighter. And you can see we've removed the door at this point. We're back in, and the whole frame is loose. All the screws, all the fasteners are cut through, and you can see that the whole frame is actually coming out. It wasn't too bad between me and my son. Handy to have a 14-year-old son at this point, obviously, or at least a partner to help you is a must. So we're just test fitting the new one in here. We'd actually, there I'm checking the sill for level. That's probably the most critical part of the job. Make sure the sill is level in both planes. Otherwise you're going to be wasting your time with respect to trying to square the door up and get it plumb. We've moved the new door in here. Just took it off on the hinge pins. Just putting the 3 pins back in here, and no magic to that. Just again, just made the whole assembly a wee bit lighter, removing the door. Ideally you keep it in place to keep everything square, but it was just too heavy to manage. So here I'm pre-drilling the frame to actually attach it as per the manufacturer's instructions. There's 6 fasteners, 3 on each side, the left and right frame, to attach it to the actual rough opening. I've already spray foamed it. We live in Canada, so it's already been spray foamed, and I'm just adding this additional insulation to make up between the spray foam and the void between the brickwork, and just trying to get it as tight as we possibly can. As you can imagine, it does get pretty cold here, so more insulation. No such thing as too much insulation in a Canadian home, I think. So yeah, just finishing up that, and on both sides, of course. So the new brick molding going on. On the left side here, it's no showing, but I actually forgot to pre-drill the hole from a doorbell, so I had to actually remove it. It's no showing in the video, obviously, but don't forget to pre-drill any holes you might have with respect to doorbells and stuff, because if you look really closely, you'll see there's no hole there on the brick molding, and then it magically appears because I forgot to drill the hole. So just some fairly long finish nails. Don't know what size they are, just something reasonable to attach to the brick molding. The header molding going on here again, and then I go back and I'm just setting the nail heads here as you see me go back a second time. And at this point I'm just putting in some, for the sake, it's pretty big void, so it's going to be difficult to caulk. The caulk will just disappear into the gap, of course, so I just put some backer rod. I think I used 5/8, which was a wee bit too thick. A 1/2 inch would have been more than adequate, I think, for the sake of the gap. And this is just a piece of molding to cover up the gap between the brick molding and the actual structure of the rough opening there. So here I'm putting in my doorbell. Do yourself a favor, make sure it's depowered. Don't be stupid, don't work with it with the power actually on it. I mean, mine's low voltage, I know that for a fact, but just be safe. Trip the breaker or remove the fuse, obviously, when you put it in. So the doorbell's back in position. I'm back inside here. Just installation of the lock set. Again, I'm not trying to labor the point here about the lock set installation. Follow the instructions. It's pretty straightforward. The instructions are usually rubbish, and you know, you kind of have to figure it out for yourself to a degree, but pre-drill the stuff as I'm trying to do there, and especially if it's a really long screw, at this point you don't want something to split. So back inside, just finishing up with putting the new trim work back in place. On yeah, my nail gun there, handy to have, obviously not a must, but extremely handy to have if you do have one, access to one. Borrow your brothers, your neighbors, whatever. And yeah, just finishing it back up there. And I think the final sequence here, I don't want to kid you, I'm not actually caulking it here, but I went through the motions to make it look good. We put a Hollywood nonsense here, just for the sake of the job looking complete, and that's it. Thanks for watching. Cheers.